Hey guys, y'all are in for a great treat. Tonight we have David Callahan in the house, and he's going to be going the entire backstory in his life, and then also really kind of the birth of the Caveman Combine from what God had done in his life, which is fathering. And so really excited for you guys to stick around and see this. Unfortunately, the first hour we just found out after wrapping did not film, but did get the audio. So stick around after the first hour. The cameras get rolling, and we're good to go from there. So looking forward to this one a lot, and we'll see you on the next one. Welcome to the fifth episode of Caveman Combine. I feel like we're actually having the father of the Caveman Combine on the show today.
Well, I'm going to say this. My dad on a podcast. If hell has not froze over, it's getting chilly down there.
I wouldn't do this for many folks.
It's getting chilly down there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, before we get into it, I'll open up in prayer. But one of my goals for this particular podcast, specifically, we're going to go all over the place. I know, just both of us. But would be for you to describe how you father and why. That would be my goal. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pause, and we'll pray it up and get going. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the gift of this time. As always, Father, we come before you united under the banner of your love that saved us. And so collectively, just for the sake of unity with you, we ask for your forgiveness for every thought, word, or deed done against you. And we ask, Father, that you would anoint this time afresh with your Holy Spirit, that you would be in our conversations. We invite you into this space, that this time would be edifying to us and glorifying to you. We love you, Lord Jesus, and pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Awesome. Before we go get to that, I think it'd be good to because I know a lot of your story, obviously, because you're my dad. But one thing you do so well is you tell really well the difference between how it was when you were growing up versus how we grow up today. And what I mean by that is the socioeconomic conditions. I mean, in a world today where you're getting iPhones at the age of 9, everybody has their own car, everybody has their own room, right? And I think a lot of times we're so disconnected in our generation from that, what it was like when y'all were growing up compared to how we grew up. And there's a lot of good lessons in that you've told me throughout the years of the things that you had to learn because of being in a home where you didn't necessarily have your own room. You sure didn't have your own. You had one car to every family, and just that whole world that I think, a lot of times we think because we've moved forward, it's got better, and I don't think that's always necessarily true.
No.
And so just maybe starting from your childhood. Before we get into you and Papaw's relationship, but just kind of the condition of being brought up in that world comparative to now.
Well, you were, an easy way to put it is, some point along the line, children started getting put in the position of authority in the family. Something simple. We didn't gather together a lot, but when you would gather together, even to eat, the adults ate, the kids waited, and when the adults had what they was going to eat, then you went and got what you was going to eat. The adults were first. That's just the way it was. And if you went in front of it, you'd probably get hit. That's just how it was. I mean, in the, what they were trying to portray was, this is a gift.
Right.
We earned this, you didn't. And to be able to get this, you have to earn it. Now, that was the big thing, okay? Even as what you was talking about, if you had a bike, Well, my first car, my first car, my father got me a car.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you?
I was 16.
16.
But at 14, he bought me 10 calves that cost between 25 and 40 bucks. They were from here to Cleveland was a lot of dairy farms.
Yeah.
And when a calf was born, they calved them just so the cows would keep, giving milk.
Right.
So they sold the calves off really cheap.
Yeah.
So I got 10 calves. I got the mix to mix with water, and you fed them every morning at 5 and every night at dark. So I did that 2 years. At the end of 2 years, we sold the cows. What I got from the money went and bought a car. So
Yeah.
he bought the car,
Yeah.
but I had to earn it.
Sure.
Yeah.
You just didn't get a car.
Yeah.
The only other option I had was to quit playing football and get a job. I remember one time I was wanting to trade it. Now, this car, I remember you asking me this question. He used to ask me what kind of car I had, and I tried to tell him. And there was a commercial on TV one time, and it was years later. You were probably in high school. And the first car that came on, I don't even know what they was trying to advertise, but the first car that came on, it was like a Lamborghini something, and it said Lamborghini 250,000. Then it stepped down. It got to like $70,000, a Corvette.
Wow.
Then it had a Camaro. Then it had something else. It was oil. That's what they were advertising. The last one, it said 1968 Plymouth Duster, 50 bucks. I said, that's it. Same color.
Wow.
I said, that was it.
Wait a minute, your first car was $50?
No,
they were just
that's
saying.
what it was worth at that point in
Got it.
time.
They were
Got
saying, here's the cheapest thing you could get.
That's funny.
Oh, when I was a kid, you got a car. If you got a radio, you had to pay for it.
How much was your first car?
I don't remember. Probably $2,000.
So 40 bucks, 25 to 40 bucks per calf.
Yeah.
Back then was 12 grand.
Yeah, but he's selling them off larger.
No. I don't know. Probably be 250 bucks now.
Wow.
Probably.
So times are much different then, in the way in which you're brought up. Authority's a key one. Just also being appreciative for what you have, because like you say, when you have to earn it, you're going to be more appreciative. You also had 2 sisters. Did y'all have to share the car?
No. My younger sister was 5 years younger.
Okay.
Debbie had, by then, she'd already graduated. She was gone.
Okay. So you graduate, you think you want to go to college, that last very short stint. And then it's time to go to work. Talk about Paw Paw a little bit, because, Daniel's going to get into eventually the way in which you father. I know you have a different relationship with Paw Paw, but also your relationship with work growing up and with Paw Paw, and how those dynamics play out. And you're really from 16. You started working at 13.
Yeah, full time. In summers, after school, that kind of stuff.
At 13, right?
Yeah.
13-ish.
A lot of that was because I stayed in trouble, but yeah.
Yeah,
They
but
keep an eye on me.
and again, the relationship to work when kid. You tell the story about Durock. I love that. Like, that's one of my favorite stories, because that was how work was with kids back then. How he played football for 4 years and never never passed the freshman year. That's the relationship of working kid. Like, people had to have their kids work back then to be able to pay the bills, right? So, Durock was his friend. He played football for 4 years.
He was older than me, but he played 4 years of high school.
Yeah.
And never got a credit.
Just because
He would go play football. It was 12-week quarter. He would play till the 10th game, quit, go get a job, come back next year and do it again. It was before you.
Just had to work, man.
It had to work.
But he wanted to play
But
football.
he wanted to play football.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
so he got to play football for 4 years and then it was done. Never got a high school education, but he got to play football.
Yeah, they wouldn't let you do that now, but then you could.
But then, you used to say to me, everybody was poor, but we didn't know it because we were all poor.
Really didn't. I mean, if in the county you had baseball, you didn't have county sports,
Yeah.
you didn't have basketball, you didn't have football. So the only way you could really play football, and I never played basketball until I was in probably 7th, 8th grade because you didn't have it. You had to be good enough for somebody to come by and pick you up because you had one car and your dad went to work. And, if mom had to do something that day, she'd take him to work, come back with a car. And very few people had 2 cars.
Yeah.
Very few. So,
Context, you grew up in Dalton?
yeah.
Yeah.
But things never change. I mean, you'd always have some guy in town that wanted to win. And he'd go around the county and pick up the best kids and take them and put them on their team, and then you'd win. And that worked for a while, and they said, this ain't right.
Yeah.
And my last year I played, they had a draft, and I got drafted first on the team, and they were awful. And
Oh, no.
yeah, we ran a shotgun before there was a shotgun because nobody could block nobody.
That's funny.
So growing up too, obviously, moms were more at home, dads were at work. What was that environment like? Because I know, you didn't have TV, you didn't have technology, you didn't have those things, so you had to be outside. You had to create things to do together, and I know there was a lot of trouble probably created. None with ill intent, but just
You didn't have
boys
to-
being boys, and
Well, there wasn't. The only person who lived around me was Barney Presley. That was it.
yeah,
And
that was a good one to live.
yeah. Yeah. If anybody knows the Presley family, you get that. Good people, but rough.
Rough.
And anyway, but you didn't. One great thing about when I was coming along, you didn't worry about your kids going off somewhere. I mean, I'm 12 years old and take off on a bicycle and go 12 miles.
Yeah.
I took my bike to town before at 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
I'd get on a bike and ride to Meadow Park, play ball. And Mom tell me to be home by 6, and I was home by 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she had no idea where I was.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not sure if that was the case when you grew up. That was a lot of the case when I grew up. It was get out of my house and don't come back until it's dinner time. That was kind of the culture. It was
I rode my bike down to the
especially
bottom
during
of Joseph
summertime.
Davis's house, but we lived in a little town like Varnell too, where it was kind of and James Wilson owned the Varnell convenience store.
Yeah.
So my dad and him knew each other, and where we would play, we ride around the Varnell convenience store.
Yeah.
So they didn't worry about it because.
But and all before cell phones, obviously.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah, and something else too. If you did something, some guy knew you. He might jerk you off the bike and whoop your tail and call you dad, and then he'd whip you when you get home.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Different
before.
the community, they'd tell on you.
Yeah, the community in a lot of ways raised where had more of a cohesive worldview, so that you could raise your children because everyone knew what to expect. Kids were expected to respect their elders.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, right. They did, right? They did, and if they didn't, it was hell to pay.
It was painful.
Yeah, painful in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe
No, go
just to come in through the back door, because I can kind of see, like, David's got so many funny stories from his childhood.
I'm not telling those.
no, he won't. I'm not going down that path.
Okay. I didn't know if that's where you were trying to go.
No.
Okay.
No. No.
I was just going to say, coming in from the first time that I meet you, right? This is now college days with Caleb. And first time I meet you, we're staying up till 4 o'clock at night, talking about everything from theology to life. The story that would come out, one of the things that I'm just seeing through my relationship with you and relationship with all the other men is the transparency that you had about your life and about growing up, and the stories that you were so willing to share to the full of your own self, but whatever you could do to help other guys out. And maybe I'm fishing here, but I felt like maybe that's kind of your line of questioning where you were going with.
Yeah, where I was trying to go to was like getting that earlier years, and then obviously before, because just like Ryan and Dustin, your story's not their story. You had a father at the home. I would argue, potentially he wanted to love you, didn't necessarily know how to. Of that, the great generation, the great, and what that dynamic was like, and what you learned from that, and what you took away from it.
Well, all right. What is being called the great generation? My dad was on the backside of that, and there were some really great things about these guys. They were tough people. Like you said, most everyone was poor. Nobody knew. You went to work every day, did what you had to do. My dad wasn't in World War II. I did lose an uncle that died in World War II. But when they came home, the biggest initiative was or I always felt like, win, succeed. Work as hard as you have to work. Do what you have to do. People depend on you. That's your job. Do your job. Do not run from it. Don't make excuses for it. Just do it. And with that did not come a whole lot of compassion. Compassion was looked at as weak, and that's kind of how we was raised.
Yeah.
And then with that, I think the next generation, because we were taught to do that, most people tried to buy, because they did not have much, their children possessions, and make it look like love. That's where I think it went.
Because your parents couldn't buy you possessions.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you and Papaw had kind of a relationship, to say the least.
Yeah.
A very headstrong relationship for the most part of your life. You take over the company at what age?
Late 20s.
Late 20s, and he sells it to you.
No.
Sells it. Sorry.
That was later.
Oh, that was later.
Yeah.
Okay.
He gets Parkinson's at 54. Let's see, he would be 91, so 24. I was right at 30, and I had always been hands-on. I started out in a bindery.
It's a print company, by the way.
And then I ran the bindery. Then I went to the cutting department. So then I ran the cut department. Then I went to the print department. And I was overachiever. I wanted to learn how to do this. So I ran the print department. Then I went to what back then was called the dark room, which is the art department. And I ran it. And I could do all the integral parts inside the business. And at 54, he gets Parkinson's and comes in one day, and it got to him mentally, and he said, "I'm done. And if you want to make a go of it, make a go of it. And if you don't, lock the door." And I have two sisters and a mom, and I did not know what Social Security was. I didn't know how to do a payroll. I didn't know any of those things.
Yeah.
So I started reading, and I met a man, a Jewish man, that for some reason, God sent. He liked me, and he took me under his wing and taught me. And
what was the first meeting with Alan? How did you first meet Alan?
I was delivering a package to someone there, and it was late. Most of the people inside of that mill, all the offices were in an open room.
Okay.
And Alan was the kind of guy, you had a cubicle, and the desk, you could see the person because he's going to watch everybody. And it's probably, I don't know, 50 yards by 30, and there's desks everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm as far from him as I can get because he scared me. I'm going down the opposite way, and he hollers, "Hey, you!" And I just kept walking. And he hollers louder, "Hey, you!" I turned to look and pointed at myself. He said, "Yeah, you, come here." And, oh, crap, what have I done? So I go
Was
over
he a
there.
customer at this point?
Yeah, he wasn't, but I was
You were doing some stuff for
things
them.
for people that were in
Okay,
there.
all right, I
Very,
got you.
very, very little.
Yeah, I got you.
And he said he had something, and he said, "Can you do this?" And I said, "Sure, I can do that." And he said, "No," he said, "Are you a printer?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I've been trying to get this done for weeks." He said, "I can't get it done. Can you do this?" And I said, "Yeah, I can do that." And he said, "Show me everything that was wrong with it." And he said, "Bring this back to me tomorrow morning at 9. It's like probably 6 o'clock. So
In the evening.
yeah, so we leave.
Wow.
Everybody leaves at 4:30. There's nobody at work. So I go back to work, and because I had did all those things, I set the type. I shot it on the camera. I made the plates. I run it on the press. I put the thing together, and the next morning at 9 o'clock, I'm there. And he looks at it and he says, "It's pretty good. I want to make some changes." So he does. He says, "Bring this back to me today at 5. He was a very demanding man.
Yeah, and that doesn't change.
No, it
You
never-
didn't need sleep anywhere in
That
there,
didn't
did you?
change for 10.
Well,
That didn't change for 10 years.
The part he didn't say anything was Alan when he walked in. He goes,
No,
"Ain't that
no,
the-
that ain't
oh, that
happened
ain't it.
yet.
I'm sorry. Okay, sorry.
So I took it back like at 5 o'clock. So he looks at it and said, "This is what I wanted."
Yeah.
He said, "I need 20 of them to send to salesman tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock."
Gosh.
So I went back and actually ran the job, did it, had it back, gave it to him. He tells me, he says, "Come back at 5. So I went back at 5. And he said it went over great with the salesman. So he said, "I need 200 to send to the districts tomorrow morning at 9. So I went back to work and did it again. And I mean, I just barely made it back, if I remember right, in the morning. Well, I get back and I have them. And he says, "Good job, son." He said, "Go home and take a bath. You stink." I haven't been asleep in 3 days.
That's great.
It
though.
probably did stink.
And,
Oh, I did.
and that's how that's how the relationship began.
It
though.
is.
And then you ended up doing. That was your.
A funny thing, one time in the whole time I dealt with him, I remember not having what he wanted the next morning. And he told me that I went home. I said, "I didn't go home, I just couldn't finish." He said, "No, you didn't." He said, "You're lying. You went home." I said, "I didn't." So I don't know how you make somebody believe something when they're not there. But the next time he gave me something to do,
Yeah.
at about 3 in the morning, he called me.
Yeah.
The plant.
I answered the phone, and he said, I said, "Colonial Print." He said, "I need to talk to David." I said, "This is David." He said, "I just want to know if he was there." And he hung up.
Wow.
Could you imagine Alan if they had cell phones back then?
Oh, God.
Thank God they did it.
Thank God they did it. Right? But he has some wild stories with Alan like that. Just just the demanding nature of it. But like you said, going back to your childhood, succeed, win, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Right? You don't go home. You don't.
So did Alan kind of take you under his wing and
Oh.
show you how to do those Social Security stuff and payroll stuff?
Yes, it got to the point. It got to the point. If I would
Tell me
call
about your taxes. Tell me about your taxes.
I would ask him something. He'd get the accounting guy from his company and bring him out there and say, "Show David how to do this."
Wow.
This is one of the biggest companies in Dalton now. This is not a small. This
It's
is Aladdin
Mohawk.
Mills.
Mohawk.
Mohawk.
Mohawk now. But he'd go, David, you don't have time to be doing that. Just go down there and give your taxes to the lady and get back on my work.
That's so funny.
But
so as far as business fathering, would you say Alan did that to you?
Yes.
He did.
Yeah. Why? I don't know.
Well, I mean, even that meeting right there is just oozing with
Oh yeah.
with the Lord being all over it,
Totally.
right? I mean, just like, hey, you boy, over here, come here. What do you print?
Yeah.
I need this, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like that's just a beautiful God moment.
Why do it? Why keep going back? Why not make excuses? Why not say I haven't had any sleep?
I lose.
Tell the story.
I had a family.
And this will tell you even more of how Alan was and why they got along. Tell the story the first time when you told Alan, you said something back to Alan, and said, and what he said, and this is the different in the cultures right here.
Yeah, honestly, I thought he was going to tell this story.
This is a beautiful story.
This was probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years in, and I had, as far as I know, I had never messed up. And I did. I messed up. It was pretty bad. And he, I don't know. He's sitting there chewing me out. And I'm sitting there like a spoiled kid, just grit my teeth. And I was probably, I don't know, at that time, I was probably, I don't know, early 30s. And he keeps on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And the more he does, the more I'm grit my teeth. And he gets through, and this is how he was. He says, I actually got something to say it. And I said, you've asked me to do some pretty miraculous things for years, and I have always did it. I said, hadn't screwed up. I said, I screwed up one time, and you're all over me. And he said, you don't like that, do you? And I said, no, I really don't. He said, well, here's how it works, David. He said, if you do it right, you get paid. If you don't, you get chewed. I said, yes, sir.
Yeah.
He was like, I paid you, didn't I? Like that's it. Like, I paid you, didn't I?
Yeah.
You want to add a boy? It ain't happening.
That's what he said. He said, have I not always paid you? I said, yeah. Have I never not? He said, that's what happens when you do it right.
Yeah.
And when you don't.
Did you know Alan outside of work at all?
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
A little. As it went.
When he exited Mohawk, presumably he did before he died, did y'all keep a relationship?
No, he got moved to, he
Sad story.
yeah, it is. I don't want to put, I really don't want to say that.
Yeah, that's okay.
He ended up on a yacht as a rest home. That's about what it amounted to.
Got it.
Yep. So
He was good to me, very good to me.
Yeah, I mean, gave you your opportunity that changed your life, my life, our family's life forever.
Yeah.
So that was your business. We could tell so many good stories.
Did you have other father figures in your life like Alan that came alongside and showed you different?
Ben Kiker.
That's where I was going to go next.
Yeah. Tell me about him.
Ben Kiker. He was my martial arts instructor. He was the first coach I ever had.
When did you start doing martial arts?
20, probably.
Okay.
By the time I got married.
Was it just martial arts or karate or?
That's all there was.
That's all there was.
Yeah. When Ben came, the story of Ben came in with Joe Corley and
Chuck Norris.
There's only 3 in the country. Wow. Period. And one of them was a hero. And
yeah, because they went and trained together.
Ben actually got a guy from Korea, brought him to LJ, paid him to teach him while Ben went to work, would come home and pay him. He'd teach him at his house.
That's incredible.
The real Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah.
Ben was you got to coach when you get to a point where you can't lose because you can't let him down. I'd never have one.
Mm.
But Ben, actually got a guy from Korea, brought him to LJ, paid him to teach him while Ben went to work, would come home and pay him. He'd teach him at his house. That's incredible.
Yeah, and Ben was one of those guys. If he would have came along now, he'd be worth millions for how good he was.
Oh, he could have been then. He had Chuck Norris's. They tried to get him to do it. He wouldn't do it.
He didn't want to go to Hollywood. He wouldn't.
Like all of,
Ben's a man.
So how much was he your senior? You're 20.
10 years.
Is he 10 years? Okay.
Yeah.
But he was a heavyweight and moved like a lightweight. Like he was a fierce. Did you ever meet anybody that could have beat him?
No.
Yeah,
There were
incredible.
There were 2 world champs in the gym where I was, and they had no chance.
He was a stud.
Now he was a lot bigger, but
He's also an extremely godly man.
yes.
Probably the best story you would tell about him. There's probably a lot, but when you are at the convenience store that time, and you're on your way to a match like that, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, that sums Ben up in a lot of ways.
What happened?
We're going. I think it was in Nashville. And
Told you I knew all these stories.
I'm riding with
academic.
him. We're going to a tournament to fight. And, we're at. I'm young and cocky and temper.
Yeah.
All that. And we stop at the service station to get gas, and there's 2 guys in front of us, and I don't even remember what happened, but anyway, they get real mouthy, and so it's time to fight. And I'm thinking, I can't lose this. Well, he ain't fighting. So I get out, and Ben tells me, he says, get back in the car. I wasn't raised this way.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm saying, we're not going to do anything. He said, get back in the car. And I'm mad. So I finally get back in the car, and we take off down the road. And I won't even talk to him.
Yeah.
And all this wild stuff's going through my head. I mean, why don't we let this get by? I mean,
We're a bunch of cowards.
That's passivity. Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
I wasn't raised that way.
Right.
And he finally turns around and looks at me. He said, what's going through your head? I said, I don't get this. He said, do you think you could have whooped those guys? I said, I know I could have.
Yeah.
He said, well, obviously I could then, right? I said, well, yeah. Why'd we run? He said, we didn't run. He said, what would we have proved? He said, if you know you can, then why would you? You're trying to prove something to yourself that you already said you know.
Right.
Why?
Right.
I went, wow, I've never looked at it that way.
And that's why he was a great teacher.
Well, because that is an inverse of honor culture, right? It's like, because there's a mercy right there, right?
Yeah.
Honor culture is, hey, you slander me, no one slanders my name, right? You're going to pay for it. And I'm going to make sure you do.
Yeah, and he was a great teacher in that way. He and one thing I've always said that I felt like Dad, whether he said it or not, and I think he got this from Ben, was like, you can only do that when you have the ability to be the guy in the room that can take care of the situation. That's the only time you know that you walked away in strength. And when you walk away, was the lesson greater learned because you walked away in strength?
Oh yeah, if we'd have thought, I never thought about it again.
You'd never thought about it again.
Yeah.
And
Ben last year, he called me. Just prayed. That's Ben.
And I would argue too, if you'd have fought, you never thought about it again. But if you hadn't been trained to fight, you would have never thought about it again too if you'd have walked away from it, right? So it's both and.
Yeah.
Right? You were trained up in what you knew you could do, and now that you know that you can do that, Ben can teach that lesson.
Yeah.
That's my point. Why do it, right?
Yeah, it's that. It's not mercy if you choose not to fight and you don't have the capacity.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just
That's right.
passivity.
That's right. And that's a part of man culture, right? Being trained up in the things that you should be able to do as a man, so that when you choose not to do them, you know you're doing them from a position of strength.
Absolutely.
Not of cowardice, right? Hey, turn the other cheek. Yeah, Jesus turned the other cheek, but
He also had an angel army.
That's right.
Yeah, he could destroy
He
them
could
all.
have destroyed everybody, right? So
You choked up a little bit talking about Ben. Called you just to pray. Is Ben still alive?
Yes.
Why was that so moving?
I hadn't heard from him in years. But at my lowest point, he called.
that's what a coach does.
Context. What happened last year?
Cancer.
You've been going through cancer.
Yeah.
How long?
Who knows? Found out last a year ago, April. March or April.
What kind?
Large B cell lymphoma.
Did the whole chemo thing?
Oh yeah, yeah. Twice.
But before moving too far into this, I believe in life, God takes us in certain battles to prepare us for other battles.
Yes.
There was other battles before cancer,
Mm-hmm.
right? In coming up to cancer. I don't even know if you would say this is your greatest battle. I don't know. I didn't ask you that, but I know you went through other fights. I mean, from inside our home, with me and Aaron, and just other things that you've had to, that God is slowly. I think you've always said this, and I think this is something that all parents need to hear, is that God will use whatever you love the most
To sanctify you.
to sanctify you and get to you if you're unwilling. And I think one of your greatest stories, or one of the greatest stories you tell, is that you were highly successful in business, highly successful, and you
Were you highly successful in martial arts? Did you do major competitions?
No, I was okay. I was pretty good.
He won the first tough man
Yeah,
in the state of Georgia. He was pretty good. But you were successful in all these things. And it goes all the way back, I think, to what you said to begin with. Win, succeed, whatever it takes. You can't lose. You got a family. This is your job as a man. This is what a man is. If you can't win, you're not a man. And then you sell your business and you're winning, but you find yourself in a place in life where there's other things that you're not winning, and it's things that you can't control, right? And not to go into those details, right? But God used those things to reach you, to reach you there.
Yeah. God's gonna get your attention.
Yeah, and the attention He was going to get you was to teach you that you weren't in control. Is that the fair? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, very.
But talk about that a little bit, because I think there's a lot of people out there that are in that position that are highly successful men, and maybe they're winning, but sometimes there's other things around them that they want to grab control of, but they get frustrated and they get angry because God's not letting them control it, whether they realize it or not, and God's trying to get their attention. I know I've been there, and it's like, if you'll just surrender, it can all stop.
All this stuff be added to you.
Yeah, it can stop.
Yeah. Well, this is something I've been going through my head just for the last couple of days. That I was going through the Ten Commandments, and if I was to ask you, what do you think are the two most important commandments, what would you say?
Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself.
What's that? That's a synopsis. The Ten Commandments.
Oh, well, I thought that was correct.
Yeah. Pretty sure they asked Jesus that, and that's what he said.
Okay, two. He did, but it culminated from something.
I would say idolatry is probably
Absolutely the first one. The first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
You shall have no other gods before me.
Right.
Right.
What's the next one? What would be the next one? To answer that question that Caleb answered. The last one, right? Envy.
Mm.
Right? Because if you don't envy, you don't do that to your neighbor.
Yeah.
Okay. Now in Colossians 3:5, it's got a list of a fall. Okay, from I can't remember every word, but it's like fornication, and it's evil desires, and it's passions, and it goes down. It goes to it goes to covetous.
You will not enter the kingdom of heaven if you.
It goes to covetousness. Now, what does it say? Covetousness brings idolatry. Right. So there's your two. Now, we look at in the Old Testament where it talks about constantly idols. You had Moloch, you had Baal, you had all this stuff, and we look at it like it's, that's in the past.
Sure.
But using that scripture and that definition of the answer of that scripture, what Jesus said in the 2 commandments, if coveting leads to idolatry, who's the idol?
My gut says self.
You are.
Yeah.
You are. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That leads back to the question you asked me to begin with. If we get to the point where we have set goals and we have reached goals, and those goals are secular, and we are living for eternity, then God's going to sanctify us for eternity. And in my situation, when the first real lesson that God whipped me over was the year that every goal I had ever set came true. And before it was over, I told him, you can have it all back. Take it all back.
Reminds me of the Ted Turner quote.
Yeah. Yep.
When you get to the top and you find out that there's nothing there. Is that the experience that you're describing?
I wasn't at the top. I'm not going to say that. But
well,
it was
the top of the ladder you were trying to climb.
Yeah. Well,
I think
the journey is more enjoyable than
arriving. I think too, what you find out is, like, I know I've been here even in my own life. You tell yourself that you're only doing this for your family, doing it for my family, and you are. That is part of it, right? You are doing it for your family, but underneath it all, in a highly competitive environment, you can't. I mean, it's just part of the game, right? It starts to become part of it is because I'm going to win, and I'm going to beat that guy, and I want to beat that guy. And it kind of naturally starts to get on you of you're competing in this field of business, and there's all these people you're going to beat. And envy can pull in because I have to be better than that person, right? And so
I never did that.
Your motivation, my motivation in some ways can become impure because beating the other person becomes the motivation rather than just being as good as I could be.
Was that your drive?
No, my drive was what I told you where it began. You're supposed to give everything you have. Everything. If you had to stay up 5 days in a row, you stayed up 5 days. If you had to, push yourself as hard as you can go and be as good as you can be. And if that's not good enough, that's all you got.
Right.
So I didn't worry about the other guy. If I pushed myself as far as I could go, if he beat me, he's better than me. I couldn't do anything about it. I mean, Ben, he was better than me. I couldn't do anything about that.
I listened to a podcast that the guy, that's what he speaks on. He talks about what he sees in the industry these days, like with people and people coming up. Like they were talking about how a new model of working is going to be 6 9s. So 9 hours a day, 6 days a week. And how people are just losing their mind over, like, that's not even attainable. And he was like, those are losers. Because he was raised, he's a Syrian, and he was raised in that same concept of you know, when you are wanting to achieve a certain goal, when you're trying to build your career, when you're trying to, you know, gain like what you were doing, you work 5 days in a row. You like you said in that one story, you work for 3 days without sleep because you're it's not something you're looking to do like as this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, but you're trying to achieve that goal of actually being accomplished in what you're doing. And once you've gotten to that point, then you can rest some. But until you get to that point, like you're getting your butt out there and you're actually going to put in the time and the effort to do it.
Yeah, I think where I'm a little confused is it sounds like what you described is actually a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have a goal, work hard, give it your best. And after you give it your best, I mean, whatever's on the table is on the table, right? If that is the case, then why were you telling God, I want to give it all back?
Because I was losing what was most important.
What's
my
that?
family.
That was actually the next question I was going to ask, because if you're working that hard and you're spending 3, 4, 5 days no sleep, how did you maintain your closeness in
A
your family?
great wife and no sleep.
Yeah, I was about to say, because none of it came at a sacrifice or a detriment of being out in the front yard and throwing ball or shooting hoops. I actually can't tell you a time I ever asked him, let's go throw ball. And I bet Aaron couldn't either, or shoot basketball. And he said no.
No, I wouldn't.
I couldn't tell you.
You know, I would go to work. It was Gail. I mean, I had a great wife. I would go to work, ask Gail what the kids did that afternoon. I'd meet her there. She'd bring the kids. We'd do whatever they did. And I'd go home, and kids go to bed at 9. I'd go back to work.
Wow.
1, 2 o'clock, get up, 7, do it again.
How many years were you doing that?
Probably 27 to 43,
Okay.
15, 16 years.
15, 16. So is that the entirety of Caleb's? Like, are you 16 at this point?
No, I actually sold. You were
Yeah.
You
sold the
junior
year
in high school.
before my senior year. The year before my senior year, he sold.
And I went to every football practice.
He sat in the corner like they lived it up that year. Him and four dads.
I was 42, and I'm there with all the old men talking about football.
That's funny.
It was a fun year, man. It was really fun. But what I was gonna press into too was like, to Philip's point, and I think culture has shifted, but back then, people that were at the top, like Aladdin Mills and Alan Lauberbaum, and people at the top of corporations, they were high achievers. Mm-hmm. And so the expectation was set. Like, Alan never considered him as doing something over the top. That's just what you had to do to work for me, right? And I think our whole culture has shifted in a lot of ways. Even people at the top of corporations now are not necessarily hard workers because they got there because they worked hard, because the system is different now. But if you were going to work with high achievers, you had to be a high achiever, or you weren't going. Like, Alan would have found somebody else if you didn't do that job.
Oh yeah,
and there goes your opportunity.
But I will say this, and I don't even know how to ask the question, but arguably you would not be sitting in this chair, and we would have no desire to interview you if you were a crappy father. And so in the pursuit of excellence in the workplace, there was something in you that said, I'm not going to, like you said.
Yeah, I'm not going to sacrifice
I'll rob
being
from
a father.
myself and sleep,
yeah.
but not being a father. Because when I met the Callahan family, the very first thing I experienced was literally a hug from everyone in the family. And every one of you treated me as if I was kin. forever.
You kept coming around. We didn't have a choice. Like, when you just are always there, we have to treat you that way at some point.
Sometimes we might have been faking it.
Fair. That's fair.
You literally moved a tiny home on our property.
He's really doing this. It was a joke. So your faith plays a huge role in this.
Yeah.
When did you? How did you come to faith?
I actually got saved the day before my 16th birthday, and ups and downs. God has a way of, when I get too far ahead of my skis, He knocks me down. So I will. Like I say, I'm very competitive, and I can sometimes let that competitive spirit get to the point where I forget what's important, and He has a way of bringing me back to what's important, and that's been my prayer a couple times, 2 times in life. Keep me from being so hard-headed that you have to beat me to teach me. Just I think that's what the Lord's Prayer says.
Yeah.
Lead me not in temptation. That's a test. Don't send me through the test. Reveal to me, please, before I'm there. But
So
we're where we're supposed to be.
So I can remember pivotal changes in your life from my position as a son, but one of them too. And before we get into, because I think Daniel's right, like talking about the fathering aspect of it, was Papa's last years. I remember you telling me one time, you were like, you were sitting with him one time, and the first time you told me, it was the first time he ever told you that he loved you. And that was when there was something there when you finally realized, like, he wanted to, but he didn't know how to. Or my papa had Parkinson's for 20.
He was the longest survivor of Parkinson's at the time of his death in the country.
Something crazy, like 20 something.
54 to 79.
Wow, like just hung on.
25.
And like
years.
last 10 years were brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, like really brutal. Like last 5 years, bedridden. Like, I mean, chair ridden. I mean, I remember I'd come in the house and he never left the chair hardly. I mean, couldn't move, couldn't. But had a lot of time to sit and think, right? I mean, you know, it's like one of those things where God's going to get to you, right? And he was a hard, stubborn man. And, you know, it's like he had to sit there with his Bible. And he had to sit there year over year over year.
Reminds me of Steve Rutledge.
Yeah,
talking about his dad.
Yeah, and so but I think that was a lot of them, and I don't know. It's like, you know, one day, I mean, he told you he loved you at like what, 70, or
Yeah, older, probably 75.
Yeah, or older.
Yeah.
But I remember you talking about that a little bit, just kind of.
Well, it was, I don't know, at that point in time, and I guess it was the same way with everybody. As a kid, you felt more like a possession than a son.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it was.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad moved up to my house so I could take care of him when he got bad. I took care of his stuff in his yard and cut his grass, did his house. Never said thank you, ever, not once.
Mm.
He was a tough man.
Mm.
And, you know, I'm holding that against him. It's just, he came up tough. He was raised tough.
I mean, your grandpa died in the garden with a rake in his hand.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Me and my grandpa were tough. He was always there. He was a tough man, too.
There's some stories there we probably don't need to tell.
Yeah. Some bad ones and some good ones.
So, You mentioned a wonderful wife.
Yes.
You obviously raised your children very differently than your dad chose to raise you.
Yeah.
One of the things that I can say undoubtedly when I first met you, not just the long conversation we had that night, but the thing that said, I need to, whatever this guy has, I want it. It was the way that Gail looked at you. It's the way that she jumped on your lap. It's the way that, I mean, there's no faking it. She loves her husband, right? And this was an anathema to me. I just, not only did I not see that in my own home, but I didn't see it in anyone's home growing up, right? It was like, there's mom, there's the dad, almost like Leave It to Beaver, right? Like 2 totally different bedrooms, no PDA, and no communication of that affection and that love. How'd you get that?
I love her.
What do you mean by that?
To me, she's more important than me.
And y'all been together since she was 15?
14.
14.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that,
13 years.
It's
incredible.
well, it's a Dustin and Leandra thing, right?
Yeah.
You don't really remember life before her, and she probably don't remember it before you.
How many years have you been married?
47.
47 years.
One thing my dad will always say too is that if I wasn't in your life, you would have been a big sissy. With your mama. That part he got from my papa.
Caleb can attest to you how much I love her.
What do you mean by that?
The last and only real beating he got was disrespecting his mama when he didn't know I was at the house.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I was at,
How old are you at this point?
Oh, I'm 12, 11, 12.
Probably 13.
13. So we were, I vividly remember it. It was that good of a spanking. Like I know, I have this one to a T.
It was a beating.
We were doing something in the living room, changing the floors or something, because the couch was in the hallway. Yeah. I don't know why it was that. We were doing something, changing the floor or something.
Yeah.
And I was in the living room just sitting there watching TV, and we had this narrow couch that went down our hallway, and my dad and mom's room broke to the right. I was off to the left, and Aaron was in the back left. And I don't even remember obviously I don't remember what it was, but she said something, and I didn't know my dad was home, and he was in the doorway. And she said something, and I was like, "Shut up, Mom!" Like that.
It was worse than that.
And,
he was screaming it.
Yeah,
Oh,
and well, I mean, we're on a podcast, okay? But no, he and I turned the corner, and I see him in the doorway, and I'm like,
And this is where I die.
I took off running.
He ran, locked the door.
I hurdle the couch in the hallway. He hurdles it behind me. I locked the door. I could have got away with this, but we had this stupid beeper system on our windows that alerted the whole house when a door or a window opened.
Yeah.
So he's telling me to open the door, and I'm thinking, all right, it's only about 15 feet to the ground, right? So I'm thinking I can get out this window. As soon as I open that thing, it goes beep, beep, beep. And about that point, simultaneously, boom, the door comes, the hinge comes across the door. I'm trying to go out. He pulls me back in the room. And my mom was going, "David, you're going to kill him. You're going to kill him."
But we didn't do that no more.
No, I didn't tell my mom to shut up.
It worked.
It worked. It was effective.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I still love her.
I'm 38. I still remember that story very well.
I still say yes, ma'am. Okay. You said you consider her as more important than yourself.
Absolutely.
So you can get that as a concept, as an idea. What does that look like practically?
I look to what she needs. I try to do that as best I can. If I can't, I get better so I can.
So, does that mean that you
See,
are?
all this stuff we're talking about my dad, too. I had a mom.
Mm-hmm.
My mom may have been the most loving woman in the world.
Mm.
Still is.
Yeah.
I've had good women in my life, all my life.
Mm.
And they should be honored.
If I had to sum up my dad in one word, just one, and the reason I say this is because I think it's what you're driving at. It's sacrifice. One word. For his wife, his kids, his whoever, it's sacrifice.
Well, that's your job as a man.
Yeah.
I mean, we're given a huge responsibility. We're given the authority, but we're also given the responsibility.
So, if I don't know you, right, I'm thinking, okay, so I need to be a yes man. I need to.
No. You need to be a right man.
What do you mean?
If it's right. Now, I'm not saying everything that Gail ever said, I did. I mean, we went through what's right. If she's right, she's right.
Hmm.
I have to be able to be. I think this is one of the hardest things a man has to do. And it sounds simple. But to be truthful to yourself. And when you get in a situation with your wife, is this my pride?
Hmm.
Is this, do I think she's wrong in this argument because of something that's a flaw in me?
Right.
And if I can be honest with myself and say, yeah, then she's right. Do it. If she's not, I won't move for nothing. If I think I'm right, I'll never give. Ever.
He told me going into marriage, I remember my dad told me, he said, son, there's going to be about 6 to 7 times that you just sleep on the couch as long as it takes. He said the rest of them, let them go. They don't matter. He said, but there'll be 6 or 7 times in life where you just have to plant your feet and just get through it and suffer until it's over, but don't move.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'll remember, I won't forget that. But yeah, to your point, like that is nothing that I ever saw from my mom and dad, where it was just a yes man, like just, where you're just like, yeah, whatever you want, right? I never experienced that in our house.
So like in context, you did very well, successful in business, and your marriage works because you gave your wife everything she wanted. Right? Like without knowing you.
Actually, I have a wife that I would give her everything she wanted, but she won't take anything.
Mm. That's true.
And here's the
unless it's really expensive.
I was about to say that. That's what's funny. So my mom, kid you not, I was about to say this. My mom will go and she's like, she is dollar store, she is penny pinching, and then all of a sudden Dad comes home and goes, hey, the pool guys are coming tomorrow. I bought a swimming pool.
Yeah.
She's been saving.
She showed me the toothpaste roll that she takes the roller out, the bread roller, and just like squeezes every little last bit.
But if it's a big purchase, it's like it don't matter. But the little things, she'll save every penny.
No, she lost her wedding ring, and she didn't want me to buy another wedding ring. And I'm kind of ashamed to go somewhere and everybody's got a wedding ring. My wife don't have one, so I bought her one, and she's mad. She's mad for a year. She needed a wedding ring.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when you came home and you were like, you bought a what? A swimming pool. The grandkids need a swimming pool. You bought a pool? Oh, yeah, that's so true about Mom. I love it.
What counsel? You've given a lot of counsel, right? We're I in jest, but there's truth in it. Said you were kind of the father of Caveman because in our community you have been a father in different seasons, some longer than others in our lives, right? So you've given a lot of counsel, specifically even recently on marriage, for everyone else in the community that doesn't have the capacity to sit down with David and get to know you, get to know Gail, what counsel on marriage?
Be a man. Don't look for excuses. Get in the Word. Find out what your responsibility is, and fight for it with all you got. Don't give to the world. If you're right, you're right. Your kids are going to constantly tell you this is okay, this is what everybody else is doing. That don't make anything right. But you have to sacrifice for your kids for them to accept that. If you're just giving them words and not time and not your life, it's just words. So, I mean, with your kids, if you're, they will know if you're sacrificing for them or not. They'll know. And then when you tell them something that they don't want to hear, because all kids won't get their way. Most adults won't get their way, but all kids won't get their way. If they know you're sacrificing for them, they'll accept it. If you're not, they won't. And they should. It's just words. You just love more than you love yourself. And give yourself as much as you can, and all these things will be given to you.
So back around into the season now, year and a half ago, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know.
How do you find out, right, that you have cancer?
I've been having pain. I've had some back problems and neck problems for a long time, and I'm one of those that, suck it up, go on.
Yeah.
I got to the point I had a place in my neck where I was losing the muscle in my arm. So second time I ever been to a hospital in my life. They operated on my neck, and
that was just 2 years prior.
No,
that was just the operation on the neck. A year prior.
No, this was the month before.
Yeah.
This was the month
close.
before.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I think, well, I'll be okay. So I go back home, and I can't lay down. I can't get comfortable. So I sit up in a chair and slept for probably a little more than 2 months, and I finally think I got to do something. So I'm one of the kind that I'm gonna go to a doctor if I have to, and I really didn't want to go because I already went with my neck, and that was enough. That was once in 50 years.
Right.
Ain't go again.
Yeah.
But so I go Dusty, and Gail actually forced me to go. I'd lost, I don't know, I went from about 200 to
Well, one of your arms was
175.
like double the size of the other one.
Yeah.
do what?
One of your arms was double the
this
size of the
one.
other
Yeah.
one. I mean, it was like,
But that was from my neck. So anyway, I go to Dusty, and he does tests. My calcium levels are real high, and he comes back and tells me he's going to have to do a bunch of tests. So that day was probably the most painful day of my life. I go through every CAT scan, brain scan, 4 or 5 different things, MRIs, all kinds of stuff. Well, I'm doing this and having to lay. If you've ever had one of these, you know how comfortable they are.
Yeah.
Well, Dusty comes back and tells me, he says, your pain is because you have 4 broke ribs. So I had a tumor. The main tumor was the size of a football. And what he told me, it had got so big it was pushing against the bones, or it was breaking bones. And so I had to lay on all this stuff. And one of them was an hour. And I prayed through it because it is awful. And from there, I went to chemo. Chemo's as bad as cancer, if not worse. It beat it down some, didn't kill it. And then I just had this past April something called CAR-T. And I went back and had a PET scan 3 months later, and it's not all gone yet. And they said there was a slight chance that it could be, still kill it. And I'll go back and have another test September. And if not, keep fighting.
You recently had someone ask you, why aren't you mad at God? Or have you cursed God in this moment?
If I ask why.
Yeah.
And no, I haven't.
Would you tell him?
How can I? I was thinking last night in prayer, why is it so easy to be thankful in prayer? And so hard to pray in love. Because one of them is selfish. If we're thankful for what we're given. Okay? But the love part of it, for some reason, is harder.
Can you unpack that a little bit?
Your love, I pray for love of God constantly. Love comes from God. We get to where we start praying and we're thank you for this, thank you for that, thank you for this, and we think because we are being thankful, and He wants us to be thankful. I'm not saying He's not. But at the end of the prayer, you get through and you think, well, I've been submissive, I've been thankful, I'm thankful for what God has given me. But I'm thanking Him for what He's doing for me. Why am I not loving Him for what He's done for me? Loving on Him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, loving Him because He's just worthy of love.
Just because of who He is.
Just because of who He is, rather than, to your point,
because of what He did.
Yeah, as Paul said, rather I've become, and I think that's what you're driving at. And I was going to ask you this question next, but it kind of seems what you're saying. Like, you have to go through certain things in life to get to a place where you hear a guy like Paul go, "I've become content in all things," right? And that's easy to say, right? It's easy for somebody to go, "Yeah, I'm content in all things," but it's like, but are you? And I think like maybe this is that season that's something you're learning in this season. I mean, I'll let you elaborate. I'm not going to tell anybody what you're learning in this season. But like Paul had to learn how to be content in all seasons because he was in prison. He was being beaten. He was being jailed. He was with the church in Antioch, or he was, I mean, like he was in the highs of highs and the lows of lows, and those kind of swings. I mean, I remember when found out like it was a swing, right? I mean, it was a punch in the gut.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're going through those kind of emotional swings, that's hard. Yeah. Right? A consistent emotion, you learn how to adapt. You learn how, no matter how bad or good it is, you adapt, and you get to where you're like, all right, this is how life is. Like Ryan said in our last podcast, right? He's like, or Dustin said it actually. He said, you know, I just learned that's how it is. Yeah. Whether it's good or bad,
yeah,
right? Like you learn to adapt. But when you have a swing, a change, right? Like those are the kind of things that you have to figure out: am I actually content or not? Right? It's the immediate moment of, am I content? Because I may have just learned how to adapt, but I'm not really content.
Sure.
But I'm not saying that's what you're learning, but that's what I'm learning through this season. Is like, from my perspective as a son, like I learned quickly I wasn't content with if that is what's to come. I wasn't okay with it. So
To better answer your question, I would put it this way. God does what he does for me because he loves me. He tells me that. Okay? No matter how hard I try to love him back, I can't meet that. And for an achiever, that's hard. I can't.
yeah, there's a line in a song, and let's go back to this, for an achiever, because we come from a highly competitive household. We did sports our whole life. We were brought up in that environment. We're high achiever mentality. There's a point in a song, and this is what you're talking about. I think it's in Jireh, where it says, and it changed my life forever. Right when it said, "I can never be more loved than I am right now." And it that might just seem like a throwaway statement, like just a quick line in a song.
It is if you don't think about it.
But if you don't think about it, it is, right? But if you slow down and you think about that line, I can never be more loved than I am right now. That is the epitome of what a father is. I am as loved as I can actually be. But to his point, we don't love that way, but God does. But the closest we get to it is love for our child. That's the closest we get to, I can never be more loved than I am right now.
Yeah.
I tell you, your kids, it will be impossible for them to love you as much as you love them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because I know what both of y'all are saying. Unfortunately, I know way too many parents that love themselves more than they do their kids.
That's sad.
Yeah. And I know kids that love their parents more than their parents love them.
If operating correctly, it should
For sure.
never be.
Yes, it should never be that way.
Well, I should say I hope they can.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I know this about you. You have a huge heart for other men. And like I mentioned at the very onset, you father very, very well.
Well, thank you.
And men, it seems like God just organically brings men into your life. I guess talk about that a little bit. How does God bring men into your life? I mean, I could probably name off a dozen at least.
We've talked about this some. Mostly from the guys that come through our house, just most
I'm sorry.
of the time. And
I apologize.
And then, and then from them to other people, and then I don't know, phone calls. I don't know. God just finds a way to do it.
Why? What do you do?
Why do I? I love them.
One thing that'll frustrate you about my dad, but it's a good fathering technique. It frustrated me from seasons. There'd be times where, and I've even thought back on it where I'm like, I wish you'd have just told me what to do there. And although it could have maybe played out better, I actually think like that's part of his fathering technique that is so, that works so well. And what I mean by that is he's not going to be wordy. He's not going to over counsel. He's not going to try to persuade you. He's going to simply tell you. And then you're going to go make a decision. And then he's going to be sitting there when you made the one he told you to or you didn't. And you're going to come back and sit down again and he's going to go, how'd that work out? right? And there's a fathering technique in there that he doesn't, when I'm saying this, he doesn't keep you from failing. My dad never kept me and my sister from failing. He didn't helicopter parent us. He tried now he wouldn't let us fall off a mountain, but he'd let us scratch our knee, right? And part of that was a developmental process. And sometimes it cost you some stuff, but you know what?
That's what you have to learn. You have to learn to pay attention to the decisions that you make, because you have to pay for them.
They're costly.
And if you constantly fix it yourself, nobody ever learns.
Yeah.
All you can do is direct. You can't. I mean, you can give the word of God. You can give what's worked in your life. You can. Most of it's common sense. Most of it's just being honest with yourself. Just and caring enough about the other person to spend the time. And I mean, there's times, guys, I've sit with guys who not say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I my own experience. First and foremost, you're extremely curious with a genuine curiosity. Well, tell me about yourself. It's probably one of the first questions you asked me.
He had no idea what he was doing.
And you don't have an agenda. There's not like a script that you don't. There's not a. People aren't projects to you, and no one gets that experience when they have a relationship with you.
I'm not trying to take. I'm trying to give. Trying. Don't always work, but I'm trying. I've been given enough.
To other leaders out there, or other men in your same. This is something that I've wrestled with a lot. Why is it that there are, in the caveman community and just men in general, I see a massive appetite and desire to be discipled and have an older man come into their life, and it just seems so few and far between. What would you say to men to either be that, become that, or to find it?
To be that? Well, in our society, what do you call an older? How old? Part of the problem, I think, is everybody's having kids so much older now that by the time you have your kids raised and you get grandkids, I mean, you may be 65, 70 years old. And, you know, I had my first kid, got married 20, had my first kid 23, had my last one 28. When I was raising grandkids, I could still play with them. And did. But to find that person, we should. I had a guy ask me that in a church not too long ago, and I think one thing, what my answer to him was after I thought about it and prayed about it, I said, I think we ought to find older people, older men, and get prayer partners with younger men, just so you can get a rapport going.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, will it work always? No. But at least you'll get the older men active, doing something.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is, I think most of these, a lot of older guys, you know, a lot of them just feel like, hey, I'm past my time. Let's go play golf. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do whatever. But there's a lot of selfishness.
I think that's part. I think that's part of it. But I also think there's a there's a massive disconnect, and what I mean by that is this: watch, Dad. If I said that for you to be able to mentor me, you needed to download this app and do this and that, and that's how we were going to do our discipleship, what would you say?
No.
No. Yes, exactly.
No.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is the man doesn't have an email.
Yeah.
The man, to his last day 8 years ago, did business on a yellow notepad.
Yeah.
I went into his workplace. This was like 6, 7 years ago. He had been there for 3 years. I'm coming over from my place, and I'm like, man, I got to get on my email. We were going to lunch. I was like, I forgot I got to download something. I open it up. The screensaver on the laptop is another family. I'm like, who is this? He's like, I don't know. I ain't never opened that up. It's been there for 3 years. He ain't opened up the computer. You know what I'm saying? So like,
I didn't need it.
all I'm saying is like, I think part of it is the demand that we place on that generation to disciple us through this new age.
Through our mediums.
Through our mediums.
I wouldn't do that.
And that's what I'm saying. And he's not going to do it. He'll sit down with you. Come have a cup of coffee on my porch.
Yes.
We'll do that all for 3 or 4 hours.
So on that, little context, I had joined, after I got out of the Navy, I joined Brownsbridge, and I got involved with a community group. Average age was 62 at the time. I think you were younger at this point. And
I would have been.
and so I'm like, man, I finally found it. This is like where wisdom is. And I got in there, and they were more lost than I was. And I was pretty adrift at sea. And so there is something to be said of, like, that it is hard to find. It is hard to find men who are willing to meet with other men, and older men willing to. I can say this: I would not have met with you, and I would not have met with Jeff Dunbar if y'all hadn't reached out to me. And so it just, to older men out
You
there,
were in my condo. I didn't have a chance. I mean, you just showed up. We just talked.
we did just talk. But you also invited me and said, hey, anytime you want to talk, you can come on over. And I did. Without Caleb. I'd drive up from Statesboro.
You still
Just
do.
We had fun.
I know I do. I still do. Yeah.
It was fun.
I also say this. When I get around you, you're not telling the good old day war stories. You're not trying to compare your life to mine and then tell me what I should do based upon your prescriptive advice.
I don't have the answers in my life. I can tell you from where I messed up. But, I mean, Jesus has answers. It ain't me.
More of true counseling. And, I mean, when we get together, I think about it like it's, to your point, it's not prescriptive. Like, we get together and we play cards.
Yeah.
Right? And most of our counseling, I mean...
Well, I mean, Daniel, what it really amounts to, I love you and you know it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're...
That's it.
And if you're around older, wise people long enough, just the counsel comes out of it.
Yeah, it does.
My senior year, I hung out with my dad and his 3 friends every Thursday night. We went and played Rook, and we talked about the football game scouting report on Friday. Every Thursday, we didn't miss a beat. We started at 7 o'clock, and we played till about 9:30. Played
The
Rook.
football game went on.
And as soon as the Thursday night football game, college football game went off, we called it a night, and we went home. And that's what I did. And growing up, I hung out with my dad and his friends way more than I hung out with my friends. I went on golf trips with him and his buddies. I played cards. And I think that's missing. I think it's missing where we...
Well, and I let him be a kid. He would be a kid and do something. I didn't, I didn't beat him up. Just, I knew he was a kid. Let him be a kid. If it wasn't something that was immoral, unethical,
Right.
let him be a kid. If he came in and said, Got some guy chasing me with 2 eggs in a car.
That's the story I was laughing at. So
hide in the basement. I mean, he's a kid. You're going to do that, right?
Yeah.
no, that's not what you said. You didn't say hide in the basement. What it was we were throwing water balloons at cars, and what we were doing was we had a point game, and we were on top of like this.
I mean, if you're going to throw water balloons at a car, make it a competition.
Well, we did make it a competition. What we did is we had these water balloons. It was like a 10-foot, like there was a 10-foot hill around a curve outside it was about a mile from my house.
Yeah.
So we didn't do it right beside my house, so they didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
So we were, but what we did was you had to throw it up. So it had to go up and over your head, so you couldn't throw it direct. So you had to lead the car.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're doing this, and we got the cops called on us 2 weeks prior. We didn't tell them that part, right? So the cops were looking for us with like spotlights, and we're like, all right, let's give it a week. We need to let it cool down, right? Yeah. So this time, though, we were throwing them, and we hit, and as soon as, I'll never forget, I remember this just like it was yesterday. As soon as Ryan Moot, that was my buddy who threw it, let go of the balloon, I saw the form of the black Cadillac car, and I was like, this guy might not like this. Like it like registered to me like this is the kind of car that might turn around. And as soon as that thing hit that window, that dude turned 180 and started coming back, tried to drive up the hill. We are running, right? Well, I mean, we are booking it down Bowater. I felt like we ran a mile. I'm sure we didn't. Yeah. But we're hiding in the woods, and 2 of them's crying over here. There's 8 of us. Yeah. Like 2 guys, they're going to kill us. Everybody's panicking. And so we laid there forever. And finally, me and a guy named Brock Coventry, my buddy, we got up and we walked to go check it out. And the whole time we're walking, we're like, we're going to get stabbed. Yeah, like we're like freaking out, like back to back, walking down through there.
What time of day?
Oh, it's like 1 o'clock at night.
Okay.
1 o'clock in the morning. Right. And I remember coming home, and I told Dad, I was like, we might have gotten some trouble. And quite literally, he goes, well, if you go to jail, don't call me. Go down the stairs. That's what he told me. Like, just if y'all go to jail, don't call me. You're going to jail. If the cops get you, they're going to get you.
If the police would have come and said your kid's stolen, I'd say there's your bedroom right there.
And he would, right? Again,
you pay for it.
You pay the cost. You can be a kid, but you're going to have to pay for the cost, right? So that's most of my memory growing up was the same kind of concept of you can be a kid, don't do anything immoral, don't hurt anybody or cause any damage. But if you get busted, you're on your own. You're going to pay for it. So,
I'm curious because we talked about this on a previous podcast about our parents, and so on down the line. And you kind of touched on a little bit about your parents. Something I learned. So, like, we haven't dug into it deep, but my father wasn't one that seemed to be there very much. And it's not been until like 2 weeks ago that I learned that how he was treated by his father and how his father's father treated him. And it's almost like it was just like this continuation down the line. And when it came to my dad, instead of being like, it ends with me, like it just continued. So now it's up to, like that's kind of been like the story for me and my wife lately is like, it ends with like, we're not doing this and we're trying to live differently. And we're working through it, but it's with you. How is your father? How is your father's father? How do you think any of that shaped the man you are? Because I think you mentioned that your dad was driven as well. Or maybe you were kind of going on a direction with your dad and then we stopped. Right. But I'm just curious about, like, how is your father's relationships that shaped you to be the way you are? Because I mean, I obviously I know you from the group, but I'm also learning a lot just from being here because I'm the newest of everybody in the group here, and it is very evident of how much you and your wife love each other and how much she loves you. And like when you were speaking about all the different things about like that you do everything for your wife. You love your wife, like she knows it. And Caleb spoke on it, but it's what you hear in the church. Like you lay down your life for your wife, and in doing so, like that's what draws your wife to you as a man. And I'm like listening to these
I've
stories. I'm
always
like,
said-
that is you, like 100%. Like you're living that, what I've heard in the church of how a man is supposed to be just like Christ is for, the bride of the church, how we're supposed to be the bride for our wives. It's like, that's an embodiment. How did that come about? Because I know for me, like that wasn't really anything that was rolled out for me as a role model. And it's something that I'm learning post with how Christ has forgiven me for the things and the transgressions that I've done. And it's in my 30s that I'm now seeing that, and then having a child and being able to start putting those correlations together of like, this is how Jesus loves me when I look at my son. And it's shaping me now at 38, where I'm like, man, I wish I would have been shaped in my 20s. And I envy like the stories that you have of like the drive and the passion you have that led, and how your prayer life is. And I hope that that's something that I can be, obviously, for my son. But I'm just curious to like, we didn't really dig into that. I'm just curious about your parents and the upbringing and how that you think brought you to where you are today.
I've had this conversation probably with, I don't know, a lot of guys. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Most time, more times than not. And I call it standing in the gap. Most all families have baggage. Most all. I mean, I can sit here and talk about, what my dad did wrong, or what his dad did wrong to him. They were tough people. We didn't get whippings, we got beatings. But when it comes down to it, if that chain's going to be broken, somebody's going to be man enough to stand the gap. Because from today, if we're talking about you, from today, that history leading up to now, nothing can change in the past. But as a man, you can stand in the gap and change it all. It's up to you.
You told me one time, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but talking about standing in the gap, you said, I meant to get to this later, but you said you learned like later in life that your dad fought a lot of demons because we were, alcoholics, like Callahan's.
Yeah.
There was a lot of alcoholics, like, and I think that's what you're getting at, right? Like my great grandpa was an alcoholic. His dad was an alcoholic.
Yeah, he
right?
would. You were talking about how he was. And my dad had all the reasons in the world to be who he was. He was a painter. He would go to Florida in the winter. He would stay all winter, made good money, come back, get drunk. My mom and dad,
This is your dad's
my
dad.
dad and my grandmother would run in the woods and sleep in the woods till they'd sober up because this
Wow.
afraid going to hurt them. I mean,
Wow.
that's the kind of stuff he did. So, so yeah, we've all got baggage.
Yeah, mine, and I don't know all the intimate details, but my great grandfather was military in the war, Vietnam, all the tragedies of that, and that came home to his son. And so that's kind of how he knew that, like, the way it's been kind of relayed to me is like, the way he was treated, it became imprinted on him that this is how a dad, a husband, a father raises their son, whether that's good or bad. Because to him, that's what made him into the man that he was. So that's how he treated my dad. And then instead of my dad didn't do the same thing to me. He did more so to my brother. They had a struggle. But with me, it was more like silence. I don't know what to do. I know what doesn't work, but I'm just going to be silent. And even today, like it's a struggle that we have, and it's one of those things that I'm trying to be like. It's one of like my biggest flaw And, you know, these guys always say, like, you know, what's your deliberate discomfort? My deliberate discomfort is probably reaching out and calling people or texting and seeing how things are going. Like, I don't text I don't call anyone. I don't call my mom. I don't call my dad. I obviously talk to Ashley, but but there's no one, and it's because, like, it's just not something that I was kind of raised with. And even Ashley's asked, like, why don't you, like, she talks to her mom like every single day, and she's like, if my mom doesn't call me, like, I don't call her. And I'll sit here and go, like, I need to, but I don't. And I think that's just something I'm trying to work through that and get better at it. But I again, it was something like just 2-3 weeks ago, learning from my grandmother, like, that this was what was going on. And then we had some other people here in the podcast room, and you start talking, and it's like you see this continuation of this going on. I do think one of the biggest downfalls is not having, you know, Christ at the center of your life. That's clearly something that, you know, you have put as the first foremost in your direction of life. And you said that it was at 16. Do you know, I'm just curious, because this is me learning as well. I know everybody else is. Were you raised in a family that God and was like a centermost of the focus of the family? Like, where did it kind of shift
My
for you?
grandpa was a pastor.
Yeah, you know, it's
Very, 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 very legalistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
there's almost this kind of what I feel like you're getting at is kind of brushing up against maybe something else, which is, how do you talk about your upbringing and be able to be transparent and use that as an avenue to communicate truths without dishonoring your father and mother.
For sure.
Right, because some things are tough and some things are difficult, and obviously not everything, like this podcast, and so, you know.
No, it's like I was saying. I mean, it's, to me anyway. Can we blame our past or our faults on someone else? Obviously, we can.
Right.
Is it beneficial?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not. Can it help anything?
No.
Can it hurt?
Yes.
So why would we wallow in it?
Same thing Ben told you that day, really.
Yes.
That's really what it is. The same thing Ben Cocker told him.
Yes.
Why, I mean, same concept. Why keep flushing this out? Like, it's not going to benefit you any. It can only hurt you. So why keep going back to it?
And if we're going to be really on board, or, I mean, lay it all out, what does that all boil down to? It boils down to selfishness.
Mm.
I mean, do I want to text? Do I want to call? I can text. I can control the situation. If I call, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I may have to do something. Maybe something I don't want to do.
Yeah. Going to demand time.
The main thing is be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't blame it on something that happened behind you.
Hmm.
You're the man. Be the man.
Yeah, I told this story a few weeks ago. Like, I'm a true believer in sometimes you have to fake it till you make it.
Mm.
And I mean that. Like, yeah, I did that in my marriage. Me and Rachel talk about that. Like, there was a season where me and Rachel did not love each other. We did not like each other, right? And we had to fake it until we make it. And I think the idea there is, like, you don't know what you don't know, right? And you can't have what you don't have, but you know it's right. And you know it's the best path forward, whether you like it or not. And so you just have to fake it. You have to fake it until you make it.
It's not really, I mean, you don't have the feelings there, but you still know it's right.
Well, sure.
Do what's right.
Sure. But you got to be, but in that, all I'm saying is, like, we had to set disciplines. We had to set boundaries, right? And because the discipline and the boundaries, that helped us continue in doing what was right.
Mm-hmm.
And until it became something that eventually we were like, oh, wait a second. We're starting to see that rebirth. Like, we're starting to, love each other again. We're starting to, and because we just committed to the process, right? Knowing that God would be faithful in the process, right? And that was the key. God said, do this. And if we'll do it, he's faithful. We're not faithful. But if we'll commit to the process, we believe at the end of it that God is going to honor it because we honored him.
Yeah, it's just for clarity, when you're saying fake it till you make it, what I'm hearing is I'm going to trust in walking in obedience to God more than walking in obedience to my feelings.
Yeah.
And that feels like like faking it because everything in my flesh wants to quit or wants to do whatever it wants to be selfish.
That's what I was
That's
trying
right.
to say.
Right. And you're saying, no, I'm just going to be faithful in what's right. And then over the longevity,
It works.
it works.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I'm a sinner, and I'm fully aware of it. And there's areas of my life that I have been a sinner for long enough that I don't know what it's like not to be. And therefore, I am very fleshly in that area. And for me to act like all of a sudden my spirit's just going to come alive, and I'm just going to I'm going to hate my flesh and love my spirit in that particular area. I think I'm not. I'm going to have to press into that particular area and be sanctified in it until I come alive in that area. Right? And that's been, a lot of my life in that way.
I think that's a lot of everybody's life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times we don't want to do something, but
Sure.
that's what's required. And you just have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
When there's a reward at the other end of it because God says so.
Yeah.
Right?
It's going to work.
Yeah, it's gonna work. It's gonna pan out because God said it would, and that's why you keep doing it. It's like God is faithful and I'm not, and if you'll enter into it with that perspective, no matter how you feel about it, it's gonna work out because God said it would.
Well, I think it's good for men to hear just stories like my own, like yours, and like the others that we've had on here, because I think men look at probably us, maybe because we're doing Caveman, we're doing this podcast, and they're going I know I did at one time. You see someone like yourself, and I'm going, well, yeah, you've had it all given. You probably had a great fatherhood, and you had a great this, and people use that past to blame, and it's learning. Yeah, yeah, but
Full circle.
It's learning, of other people that are clearly focused on God. We've shifted our direction of, His kingdom first, His will be done, and which then causes us to have that outward love to our family, and then people hear of all of our different struggles, and they're like, wait a minute, you had just as bad as I did, or even worse, or I had worse, but you walked through it, kingdom driven first. And that's why I was curious, because it's I can hear all these great things and the drivenness that you had. And it's I feel like I was raised in this generation where when you saw the movies or things about true life heroes and they were driven, it was because they had this great father that empowered them to do this. And it was oh, great. You had someone that did all that for you. I didn't have that, is the kind of mentality that kind of shaped a culture that at least my generation
I would say
moved.
what drove me the most to begin with was just fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. And with
what did it mean if you did fail? What was so fearful?
everybody in my family was broke.
Your sisters didn't eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my sisters worked there. My mom, my dad was,
Semi-retired.
yeah. Anyway. I went to the bank twice too, and when I sold my company, I really didn't want to sell my company, but I went to the bank twice and leveraged everything I had, and the second time, the third time I was going to have to do that, I'd gotten to the point where I was, we wasn't rich by no means, but we were comfortable, and I was going to have to leverage everything. like 3x the collateral that I was trying to borrow.
Wow.
And it was everything I had. And the banker actually went to my sister and said she had to put her house and the other house up as collateral too.
Mm.
And I said no. And I went back and I said, I'm not doing this again. I'm going to find somebody to buy this. So I enjoyed what I did.
Mm.
It finally got to where it was pretty easy. But at that time, collateral was, equity, borrowing money was
Way more difficult.
awful.
Way more difficult than
Awful.
it is now. Yeah. So
I mean, the banker wanted, if you did not succeed, he wanted you homeless.
yeah, we don't live in that world anymore. So not that we have to wrap it up here, but one thing, because I hadn't really even asked you this question, but this season in life, what is God teaching you? I think a lot of people are like, you get later in years and you're like, well, I've pretty much learned everything that I could learn, right? Yeah, I know. I chuckle too, right? I'm just, but what is the lesson? Daniel always uses the word sage.
Sage.
A sage, right? So he'll be happy with me. I'll make sure I use that word. As a sage at this point in your life, like what is something God's teaching you through this season?
Sanctification and the purpose of it. We are being prepared for eternity and not for tomorrow. And at some point, you have to take crash courses, and they're hard, but you'll get there. I was thinking today, and this may not even be sensical to y'all, but in our lives, we are saved as God's children. From sin, it will be thrown off. From all the iniquity, it will be thrown off. And we will be in a heaven that is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So if that is the case, what part of sanctification and what does it look like when we get there?
Is the sanctification process still going? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Or yeah, right.
What of it do we take with us?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
And what does it look like?
Yeah, I had this conversation with a guy today. We were talking about that section of scripture where Jesus says that everything in your life is going to be tested with fire. And if it was built with eternal things, then it will stand the test. And if it was built with temporary things, like wood and straw, it will burn up. And you may enter as though barely escaping the flames, but everything that you built your life with is burned up.
Yeah, and the reason we have a hard time processing that is you think about, like, if there is authority, and I believe there's going to be in heaven, right? There's going to be levels of authority in terms of rewards and
It's not a social.
do what?
It's not socialism.
It's not socialism.
Yeah.
But we can't comprehend in the same way that we can't comprehend eternity, right? Because we can't. Nor can we comprehend love, by the way. Right? We don't comprehend love.
But
right?
we can comprehend the how much eternity is worth.
What do you mean?
How can we? You're young. You don't get it. We can understand the worth of eternity from death. The biggest enemy we have is death.
Mm-hmm.
You're not old enough to see it yet, but you will. And when you get there, I wished, me and Gail talked about this tonight. I wish I could teach the nearness of death. But it ain't possible. It's just not. Till you're there, you can't. But I can tell you this. I understand way more now, a year later, the value of eternal life than I did last year.
Yeah, because of the experience that you went through.
Walking through death.
Yeah, walking through death. And so I guess that what I'm pressing into is what I'm saying to what you're saying is like, we think we understand some things, such as love, right? But I don't understand love. I wouldn't give my son for anybody, much less my enemies. I don't understand love. We think we do, but we don't. That's what I'm pressing into. And what I was going to say was, it's hard for us to comprehend eternity, just like it's hard for us to comprehend a world or a heaven where there's authority without envy. That's hard to, or the desire for positions, right? So if Daniel gets a planet,
we've talked about this.
We've talked about it. And all I'm saying is, like, these worlds, there's certain things in the same way of what you just said. What I'm pressing into is, there's certain things we can't comprehend this side of eternity.
Sure.
Right? We think we know righteousness or justice or love, or we think we know these terms. We do not. Right? We do not comprehend.
But there will be
these
no
terms.
doubt on that day.
But we know
Yes.
but we know the opposite. That's kind of my point.
Yeah.
We know the opposite. So when we get to heaven, how can we understand eternal life if we didn't know what death was? How do we know what love is if we didn't know what hate was? How much of that comes with us so that we understand
No,
sanctification?
No, yeah, I think a lot of that comes. I mean, it says in the book of Revelations, we'll be singing songs of His mercy. If we're singing songs of His mercy,
You gotta know what you're
then
being
you got to know
merciful
what you've been forgiven for. Or we wouldn't be singing of mercy.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, love absolutely exists pre-fall, right? So we're not saying that they're contingent
Are we
upon
going
each
there?
other,
Are we going there pre-fall?
right? It's not this yin and yang thing.
I can't believe anybody's going to watch this long.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not this yin and yang.
But I can't believe we're going there 2 hours in. We're going pre-fall. Here we go.
Okay, so I will say this, and this is a big part. Like, if you're going to Father,
You went pre-fall. All right, back to Father.
be a deep well. Because I would say your heart of fathering is birthed out of Christ in you.
Absolutely.
And the counsel and the heart that you have for others, right? I mean, 90% of all of our conversations, 99, are about God.
Well, okay.
We may start off on finances or some business
They
idea.
all tied together.
Yeah.
But so this is what I like about what we about just did. We didn't go there.
Yeah.
But what we about just did. What people need to know is most of our conversations start just like that.
Absolutely.
And then we go down the rabbit hole. And we start to, people don't do this anymore, right? This is what you'd be more interested in talking about ESPN,
Dave.
or you're more interested in talking about something that, to your point early on in the podcast, you said something secular. But most of the time we get together, we sit on a back porch, and we got something to drink, and we just talk, and we go down a rabbit hole, and we start bouncing scripture, and we start.
It typically
doing all
starts
of this
with
stuff.
a question from David, like the one I got the other day on the phone.
You know why? You know why? Think about this. This is why we
I
know
have more time.
That's what I was about to say. You know how I know he's in a different season than we are?
Yeah.
In this podcast, he has had three. He has had three big thoughts. He said today and yesterday.
Yeah.
He said, I was thinking about this, and I'm realizing like Dad's in a different space than I am. He's been thinking about a lot of things I don't have time to.
That has a lot to do with it. It really does.
Yeah.
It's if I get on a line of thought or Bible study and it's 11 o'clock, and if I won't do it till 3, I'll just go on.
Yeah.
You know,
Mine goes
I won't get up at 9. I'll get up at 11.
Yep. Well,
You can't do that.
My thought has to end at 7:30.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. But to that, I would just encourage the older generation, if you have that time, it's like, don't waste it. Spend it with time in the Word, because when you get the time to talk to someone else, right, you're able to draw up from that well the riches of time spent with God when someone's coming to you and their marriage is falling apart.
Yeah.
But I don't watch TV. Very, very, very little. Very little. And the only time of the day that unless kids got something or somebody needs me to do something, that's set aside is hour and a half every day. That's Miguel. And you messed it up today.
Shame on you.
I'm going to hear about it from Gail too.
Yeah, that's right. You took wine 30.
Yeah.
But I don't want to beat. I don't want to beat this dead
It was
horse.
cloudy.
It was cloudy. You couldn't see the sun. Yeah, there was no sunset today. But I don't want to beat this dead horse. But I do think this is highly important, right? Highly important in the formation of our community group and with my dad and Matt, me, you, him. Yeah. Even when we're playing cards, someone eventually will drop a bomb right in the middle of the card game, and the conversation picks up, and we go down a deep well of ponderance, of thoughts, of biblical theology, and just thinking of high-level things of God, right? And how few people, I don't know of somebody that I'm going to spend a whole lot of time with, and I'm just being honest. If there's somebody that never have those kind of high-level conversations about God, I'm going to get bored eventually, right? I'm going to get bored.
You talked about eternity. The only thing that's eternal and infinite in capacity is God.
Well, again, he said, I was thinking today, and you immediately go, I go to heaven and I'm talking about we don't comprehend this, and you're like, well, in Genesis, it's and here we go, right? And that's my point. Here we go. And we would have, in a regular time frame, if we're playing cards, we would have went down that rabbit hole for an hour. And we would have bounced ideas easily. And thoughts would have came, and we would have, and by the time we left there, we would have had a higher level thought process of God. Yeah. How few men do that now? Yeah. When is the last time some men haven't done that in decades? Yeah. Right?
Man, one of the things I'm so grateful for, David, is your, and I know this comes out of your time with God, but there's no part of you that's looking for validation in other men. And I think everyone experiences that when they get around you, just security.
If he is, he's doing a very poor job of it.
And I don't know if you could talk into that a little bit.
I don't even know it.
Yeah.
I think what he's pressing at is when you come around some men in life, they have to tell you about their successes. They have to tell you about how successful they've been, or they talk, and they don't do it in a direct way. They do it in an indirect way. And you've been highly successful in what you've done, and that's never a point of
everything I have been given to me.
I knew I would want to just walk him into it because he says that to me all the time.
It has.
Yeah. Yeah. And we could go full circle to the boy that walked in with a sheet of paper, and he goes, hey boy, you a printer? Hey, come here.
That was given to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the one thing I love about our community group in general, and this includes you as well, is we're not afraid to have the normal conversations where we're dropping God into the conversation. And I know, like, at least for me, like when I go to work, like it's almost become taboo to want to speak about religion or God. And I think that's what your biggest problem in the world today, and with men, that say, I don't have men like you guys, is because the men they do have, it's almost like you're too afraid to drop the name God into the conversation. Mm. And like the thing I've heard through this whole time is like, God's been the forefront of your whole life. And it's like you've been like to go about a situation and not see God at the forefront of it would be like for loss. And your heart for that, like how you said you were, it's to understand, I think you were saying when you were praying, you're like praying for the to give the love, and like how you were just now saying that we were, we have these, playing cards, and then someone drops a bomb and we're going deep into a subject. I think that's what a lot of men are missing, is either the boldness to be able to do that with the people they're with, to challenge them, or they're afraid that if they do that, that means these people are no longer going to want to be around me.
Yes, and at some point, what you eventually realize when you start doing this, because I think all of us would say this, is like, what else is there to talk about?
Exactly.
No, dude.
Right? Like
exactly.
anything else is boring.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here
Yeah.
talking about this boring stuff instead of the high and lofty things of God?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Amen.
what are we doing?
Yeah.
And I had an advantage over what you were talking about, because I was always in a position where I could say what I wanted to.
He dictated the culture in his workplace.
Yeah.
You hear Dustin tell stories about his workplace, but where he's working now.
Yeah, and I've just gotten to the point where I've just been like, I kind of came to a point about a year or two ago. I talked to Daniel about it a little bit, where I was just like, I just don't care. I'm like, if I'm offending the people around me by speaking about God, then clearly it's not where I'm meant to be. And if me being bold in my faith, like, causes me not to be like at a job, then clearly that's not the direction God has for me.
If you're good enough, you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
what's this right here, Philip? You had a company of what, 200, 300 people?
Most was 350.
Who's your human resources person? That's my point. That's not a position in his workplace.
What is this?
What is this position?
That's a waste of resources.
You should have said HR. What are those letters mean?
Dusty was one of the, or Dustin Nichols,
gosh,
one of
that's
the
great.
funniest one. I interviewed him for probably 2 hours, and I asked him a whole lot of the same questions over and over and over and over. And finally, this was him. He said, "Mister," he said, "I've been carrying glue buckets for a year. They ain't nothing you can ask me to do I want." I said, "We'll get along just fine."
But okay, so I don't want to digress, but even the way in which you fathered him, he tells the first time he ever came into a meeting and did something wrong.
Oh, I only got on to him twice.
And it was
Ever.
one of the first times,
Ever.
though.
Yeah. The first one was because he wasn't prepared. And the second one was because he thought details didn't matter. And that was it. But they were good ones.
And he remembers them.
He sure does.
He remembers them. That's good.
And the first, I set him up on the first one. I did. I gave him basically a big part of my job. And we were going into a meeting, and he was supposed to carry the meeting. And he was supposed to know all the details. And, I'd been doing, he laughed because I had a pad, but I can tell you everything on that pad. And we may have 1,000 jobs, and I can tell you where just about every one of them were and what part of it was. He's just starting. So we walk in, and I knew he couldn't do it. And
This is how he fathers.
Oh yeah.
he's probably, I don't know, how old is he now?
What?
36. He's
Yeah.
probably 23 or 4 years old. He was a smart kid. I knew he was a smart kid. And I knew he wanted to succeed. And I knew he'd work to do it because he had a long way to go from him. And I was going to give him a chance if he'd do it. And I was Alan. He was me.
So you fathered the
Full
way you've
circle.
been fathered.
Yeah.
So anyway, he goes into the meeting. He's supposed to carry the meeting. And somebody asked a question. I knew the answer. I said, "Dustin." And Dustin says, I'll have to find that and get back with you." Wrong answer. So it goes a little bit longer, and somebody else asks a question. I knew the answer. I said, "Dustin." Well, he does that about 4 or 5 times. I said, "Dustin, what is your? This is a meeting with everybody in the company that matters." I said, "Dustin, what's your job?" Planning. I said, "How do you not know these answers?" He said, "Well, I'll find out." I said, "We're in this meeting not to find out.
Yeah.
we're past finding out. This is your job. And he does another one. He don't answer. I said, Dustin, just leave. Just leave. And after it was over, I said, never come into a meeting again that you don't know what's going on and have answered the question. And he never did. And he would never got that way if I went, that's okay, buddy. Work on it.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't even come into the meeting anymore if he wasn't ready.
He did. He was,
no, I'm saying if he wasn't ready. He'd be like, I'm just going to stay outside.
I know where this is going. I'm just going to...
I'm going to exit
I'm
before I
going to bring
enter.
my chair out here.
Yeah, that's good. I love it. That's it. I like him.
But he probably gained 2 or 3 years for that one meeting.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's this new fathering aspect of, to your point, attaboy, you never lose, you always bail them out, and that's just not how you father a child. That's not how you father. That's definitely not how you father a boy into a man.
That's not life.
Right. It's not life. And when you hit the real world, I think that's a lot of the rebellion we see in people today is they get in the real world and they realize the way mommy and daddy treated me.
Yeah.
The world's not treating me that way anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And what happened? Oh, gosh, like, this didn't say, like, what's going on, right? It's a culture shock.
Totally.
And so we run from it or we start to throw our hands up. But I think that's an excellent story. It's always good to wrap it up on a story about throwing Dustin under the bus.
Yeah, I mean, perfect.
I mean, if we had to do something.
If you're going to leave a word of counsel or encouragement to the caveman community, what would it be?
Be true to yourself. Compete well. Love your family more than you do yourself. And know what your job is and be man enough to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
And don't quit.
That's good stuff. Awesome. Guys, that was the David Callahan. You have entered into a real treat. We're going to wrap this one up. Thanks for watching. See you guys.
Are we off?